Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. So happy to have you here with me today. Want to welcome those of you that are joining me live, as well as those of you that are going to join me on the replay. So happy to be here with you. I am still in the gorgeous Salida, Colorado area. Anyway, just looking out my window, seeing all these gorgeous mountain views, bright blue sky. I hope you are having an awesome day so far. All right, guys. So, a question for you. Are you a health professional looking for really those core, tried and true business building strategies that are going to help you move your practice into six figure or even seven figures? I want to say you're definitely in the right place. I'm delighted to be here with you today, and I'm doing a solo cast. So, haven't done this in such a long time. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of teaching today, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be sharing the six-figure building blocks for health professionals, and this is designed to help you to unlock high-level profitability inside of your own private practice. Just an FYI, I do have a wonderful infographic. So you can see the URL on the screen, leslibytel.com/six-figure business building blocks with dashes in between. So just want to remind you, if you guys haven't already downloaded this, it's a really nice infographic. And it's basically what we'll be working from today. So I would encourage you to grab it. And it's also a really nice reference as well. So um, honestly, whenever you're kind of feeling like, oh, what should I be doing right now? This can be a great tool to help rein you in. All right. Keep you on track towards building that dream practice of yours. All right. So, as many of you know, my name is Lesli Bytel, and I'm a business coach for health and wellness entrepreneurs who want to attract more clients, sell more programs, and ultimately grow a highly profitable practice, integrating multiple streams of income. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Now, we all know that success, it's more than a dream, right? It really does require the ability to make true impact in the marketplace. And in order to reach those high levels of profitability, you really do need the necessary tools and strategies that are tailored to your needs as a healthcare professional in private practice. So, again, that is why I'm really looking forward to sharing my six-figure building blocks on this week's live with you today. So, specifically, here is kind of an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So, essentially, I've identified eight specific areas of business that I feel are really, really important for you to be able to master in order to succeed and continue the momentum and continued growth in the business. So, each one has its set of challenges, of course. So, we're going to go through this in a fair amount of detail today. So, first, how to nail down your niche market and audience. And, I just have a comment about this. Many of us who've been in business for a while, we tend to think, oh, we've got that nailed, right? Like, don't need to hear that. I'm good to go. Just want to kind of rein this in a little bit. This is something that I actually revisit on a regular basis. And the reason I do this is because it allows me to really revisit my messaging and make sure that, I'm still on track. And it also allows me potentially to either expand the niche or in some instances contract. So we're going to talk about that in our conversation today. We're also going to talk a little bit about how to strategize your market positioning as well as your offers, how to develop effective marketing strategies that you can actually stick to and implement, how to sharpen your sales skills. So we'll be talking a little bit about the sales bucket, and ultimately how to create multiple streams of income, automating your processes, and more. So we're going to really kind of, I'm going to give like a broad overview of each of these 8 building blocks today. All right. So, all right. So before we jump in, I'd love to hear from you. Um, Tell me, we've got some people joining the call now. Just give me an idea in terms of, just tell me who you are, because sometimes Facebook doesn't allow me to see who you are and where you're from. That would be awesome, just so I have a little bit of a sense of who's here with me today. And again, if you're going to join me on the replay, which I know many of you do, I would still love to hear from you. So just utilize those comments, tag me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to circle back around to support you. All right. And just another reminder, in the meantime, just make sure that you've downloaded today's infographic. And again, that can be found. You see the URL on your screen, lesliebytel.com/6-figure business building blocks with dashes in between. All right, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. I think I'm going to do a screen share so that you can actually see the the infographic. All right. All right, here we go. All right. Magical. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and I just want to have a conversation with you about each of these building blocks. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. Again, this is the 6-figure business building blocks. And I think what I'm going to do is go clear down the left column, and then I think I'll start, and then I'll go clear down the right column. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, guys. So the first thing that we want to make sure that we're really nailing down is we want to make sure we have a clear niche, right? We want to be really, really clear on exactly who you serve. Specifically, this is so critical. What are the problems you solve for that target audience? Okay, so incredibly important. So, guys, it's not really just the demographics. In fact, in full honesty, I don't know. I don't really think the demographics are all that important at the end of the day, right? Now, sometimes we are trying to target, a gender, right? In many cases, females, which is fine. But I don't really think that we need to be hyper focused on like exactly what is the age. And really the only reason why that would play a role is because when we think about where we can actually find our people, obviously younger people might tend to be more, let's say, on Instagram, although that is starting to shift, right? So the age, I don't really think is super critical. Although, that being said, what I do like to look at more than like, 18 to 25, right? Like something really, really specific is like a stage in life, right? So like maybe new moms, maybe baby boomers, maybe fresh out of college, millennials, that kind of a thing. That can be super helpful because if you're able to identify what phase in life your audience, your target audience is in, then you're in a really good position to create content that really lands powerfully for them. And also, we're going to talk about messaging here shortly, but when you are clear on the stage in life, your message can really be much more powerful. All right. So that is why I really like to focus on, kind of like the life stage of the niche rather than like, oh my gosh, I'm just focusing on, females between the ages of, 24 and a half and 30, right? Like, I don't think that is necessary, in most cases, at least. All right. So, but guys, please be crystal clear on the problems that you solve. I'd love to check in with our audience. Let me know what are the problems that you solve. And honestly, I could give you maybe a little bit of coaching here if you would like it or need it. Because, just guys, remember, I'm a practitioner too. And I just have to say that this way of thinking when I first started was very different. I kind of, it wasn't the easiest thing to wrap my mind around. So I just want to make sure that you're all really, really clear on what I'm talking about here. So like I'll just give you a couple of examples for problems that you may solve. Um, you'd almost want to look at them as symptoms. I think, pain points, symptoms, those things, if we just like brainstorm a list of pain points in the form of symptoms, I do think that process can be very helpful. So, for example, let's say hypothetically, you are focused on, I don't know, let's say a type 2 diabetic niche. All right. So, we would put ourselves in their position and we would just brainstorm what are the chief complaints, right? What are those challenges that they bring to the table? And guys, I'm not talking, we don't want to be super clinical in our language here. We really want to use language that's going to land for your audience. So, what would be some examples? Well, off the top of my head, I don't have type 2 diabetes, but of course, I've worked with many over the years. So, I would just draw upon that experience, right? I would say, fatigue. There's a sense of, well, certainly in most cases, right? We want to kind of think about, well, what's the 80-20 rule here? Of course, not every symptom we talk about is going to land for every single person in our target audience. And that's okay. We just want to try to capture, the majority, the 80%, right? So I would just say like some of the pain points and challenges that you help solve would be, you know, um, poor labs, right? Like, um, glucose spikes and dips, fatigue. What would some other things be? Probably challenges around weight, carrying weight around the midsection. So that brings up a whole host of complaints that client would potentially have, right? Difficulty losing weight, constantly feeling hungry, sugar cravings galore, this sense of maybe I can't trust myself around food, possibly even a little bit of a sense of shame around not being able to control the situation on their own. So there's all kinds of things. So you guys kind of get the idea, the gist here. So you want to brainstorm a list of pain points essentially. And I think if you did that, you would be in great shape. All right. So that is, so you really want to try to be comprehensive on the pain points. You also want to think about, where do they congregate? Are they findable? Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to figure out where to go to market to them, right? Where to find them. And how to so differentiation is definitely part of your brand, right? And I will say one way to differentiate yourself in the market, I mean, there's lots of ways, but one of my favorite ways is a brand story. Now, I don't go into detail on this worksheet or this infographic about a brand story, but just from a branding standpoint, if you have a powerful story behind your, that you integrate into your brand, perhaps on your website, there's a ton of places that we share our story, including whenever you give a talk, right? Honestly, people don't care so much about, believe it or not, they don't care so much about your credentials as we often think they do. They really instead want to know, why do you care? And why should I trust you? So, sharing your story can really increase that connection, especially most of us nowadays are working online, right? And so it can be extremely powerful. So, I would say differentiation can come in the form of sharing your brand story. It can also come in the form of how you help your target audience, right? So, for example, You might be unique in that, perhaps you integrate certain aspects like hobbies, or, like a great example would be yoga, right? So I've worked with clients in the past who, really integrated yoga in their personal lives. And they also pulled in yoga strategies, or, different modalities into their treatment protocols, which is a really powerful way to make you stand apart. So that can be a great way to do it as well. So let's see here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just share a quick comment. So, okay, I'm from West Central Indiana. Great. My son goes to Purdue, so we know Indiana very well. I'm a registered dietitian, small business owner, gardener, and beekeeper. Oh, and thank you for all your wisdom. Thank you. Thank you for that kind comment. So, as an example for differentiation, with you being a gardener and a beekeeper, like, I think you really could have some fun integrating those, passions of yours into your brand, right? So there's, and again, that would help differentiate you from everybody else out there, right? Okay. All right. So hopefully everyone's clear on that. So that the clear niche market, I would say it's really critical to be clear on who you serve, the problems you solve. I would also include in this the results that you help people to achieve, right? What are those amazing transformations? How do their lives change as a result of your amazing work? So we also want to include that in this clear niche category. All right. And all of that compiled helps you to form an ideal client avatar. Now, we know what an avatar is, right? It's like, almost like a symbol that represents your ideal client or your target audience. And I do think that can be helpful as well, especially when it comes time to create content that really lands powerfully for that ideal client. So, all right, so let's keep going. Let me know if you guys have questions about the clear niche market. It is really important. The thing I would say here is you got to have clarity around who you're targeting. Otherwise, it is really, really difficult to market. So the clear niche market and the messaging, which, just how you describe what you do is absolutely critical to your success. Okay. So my recommendation is, if you're not clear on that, we definitely probably want to talk, right? Because it's everything. It's just so hard, like, even to write an Instagram bio if you're not clear on this first step. All right. So let's keep going. I'm going to go clear down the left. So let's talk a little bit about audience building. Now, audience building really could come in many different ways, right? So, I mean, we could be talking about, building our Instagram following, building our, YouTube subscribers, things like that. I do want to be clear, very opinionated about this, and that is, of course, social media is great because it expands your reach. However, you don't own it. You can get shut down any old time. I've seen it happen more times than I care to say. And so ultimately, what we're doing with social media is we're leveraging social media to grow our email list. Okay. So very important. So, what we're trying to do is entice people that we are able to reach on social media. So, it's amazing to be able to expand your reach. However, to be clear, our end goal is to entice them to join our email list, because your email list is absolutely one of the most important assets inside of your business, right? You own it. It's yours. Once you have an engaged email list, it will open up the world for you. You're able then to, pretty much whenever you want, you can put out an offer, right? You're just in such a good position. And I will say that especially as many of you, I know, because I've talked to many of you, want to move into multiple streams of income, right? Who doesn't? Who doesn't want passive income, right? Who doesn't want to leverage their time more effectively? Of course, it's a smart business move. That said, in order to get there, it's really important to grow your audience and focus specifically on strategies to grow that email list. All right. So it really will empower you to generate significant income in other, more leveraged or scalable ways. Right. So, really want to emphasize the importance there. There's lots of different ways that we can, build our audience and attract clients into our world. Of course, I got to tell you guys, I'm a fan of building relationships. I know, God, that might even sound a little kind of outdated, but I really feel strongly we have to have a balance when we're trying to build our business. It's critical to have, I would say, a two-prong approach. In person, maybe community based type of approach, right? That's maybe not necessarily online, very heavily relationship built based. And then the second prong of the strategy are all the online strategies, right? So I really think it's critical to kind of go at it from two ways rather than, what I tend to see more nowadays is just completely focused on the online. And, sometimes, honestly, you're probably leaving money on the table if you're 100% just focusing there. So, what I'm suggesting is that you kind of broaden your horizons. And again, if this is you, if you're really just 100% focused on online strategies to grow your audience, what I would suggest is look for kind of that low hanging fruit, those opportunities in your own backyard, leveraging, relationships. There's tons of ways we can do this, right? Friends and fans is a great strategy. And guys, all this is good old fashioned networking. That's it. It's staying in touch with people. It's building the relationship. It's figuring out, how can we be collaborative? What are the opportunities to kind of support one another and taking it from there? So, highly, highly recommend, kind of going back and, honestly, in many cases, rebuilding these relationships. We've got lead magnets. Of course, free lead magnets are critical. Case in point is the infographic I'm sharing with you today, right? So it is super helpful for you. And, and it's well put together. It's, again, just super valuable, I think. And I was able to utilize this piece to grow my email list, but also, I would say even more importantly, hopefully to develop a relationship with my subscribers, right? Because, at least from my perspective, my new subscribers look at this gift and go, wow, this is super valuable, right? And so that's, I think, really important. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with these free lead magnets. Grow your email list, develop the know, like, and trust, deliver incredible value for your audience. And in some cases, as you build that relationship, maybe via newsletters, maybe via blog posts, etc., you are moving them through that, just that experience. And eventually, some of those folks will realize that they need help and you're the person. Okay. So that's why that's incredibly important. Okay. Summits and giveaways, a phenomenal way to grow your list. A couple weeks ago, I did a Facebook Live specifically on this topic. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that, I really love that strategy, and it can, it really can be a big win, right? A way to absolutely catapult your email list with ideal clients. Social media, we already touched on that. Again, it is great to expand your reach, but again, you want to try to utilize social media to get new people on your list. All right, then now e-zine is a word that we don't use quite as often anymore. It's just a newsletter, right? An e-zine is really just a newsletter, and okay, so all right, so in a blog post, so a blog, ideally with a blog, you're creating content strategically. All right. So with a blog, I mean, I'm not suggesting you have to go down the rabbit hole with keyword research, but I do think it's important to write content um, that people are actually searching for, right? So you do want to do a little bit of keyword research, just to ensure that you're writing on topics that people are actually interested in and searching for. And the idea here, of course, is that you're increasing traffic to your website this way, right? And also on your blogs, remember, these people are not, so the people that find you via your blog, I would say much of the time, they're not on your email list yet, right? They're, on Google, they're, Googling different solutions for whatever it is they're struggling with. And this is, hopefully your blog will pop up in that search. Now, when they find you and they're reading your blog, they're like, oh, wow, this is great. I do recommend that you insert a lead magnet into your blog so that you can entice people to jump onto your email list. All right. So sometimes we overlook that. Just want to remind you, podcasting is a great way to expand your reach. Amazing way. Highly recommend. So really, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there now, but I still think there's room for, there's always room for more. And I think, people consume information and education in different ways, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Some people just want to listen to the, you know, like a podcast, right? Others are more visual. They actually want to see you. So, which is why I do the Facebook Lives and YouTube, right? So, anyway, you just want to pick a couple strategies and really try to be consistent. All right, so let's keep going. Let's talk about offerings. And, in a nutshell, your service offerings, you really want to position them around, oops, actually, did I forget one? I did. Speaking of market positioning, okay. We'll just talk quickly about this one. Market positioning, there's different ways you can go about that, kind of positioning yourself definitely in I would say all of your cases. You want to position yourself as an authority in your particular niche. Okay. So you really want to be cognizant of that. Highly recommend, radio interviews, podcast interviews, maybe TV. Lots of ways you can utilize PR, sponsorships, love joint ventures. So, joint venture is, I think, pretty self explanatory based on the name there, but essentially, partnering with maybe other companies or really anyone that serves the same target audience as you. So, joint ventures, honestly, is one of my favorite ways to build a business. All right. So, definitely highlight that one. And really, the first step to being successful with joint ventures, I would say just sit down and brainstorm. brainstorm every company, everyone you can think of that that serves your same target audience. Okay. And I will say some of this, again, it really goes back to relationship building and trust. Okay. But I would encourage you to make the first move, reach out to some of these folks and just start the relationship. Start to explore, how you can actually build more of a collaborative type of relationship. Expert articles, videos, book writing, awards, certifications, like all kinds of ways that we can go about building that sense of authority in the marketplace. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about offerings. And really, I think one of the most important things with your service offerings is they need to be designed to solve the most significant pain points your audience is experiencing. All right. It's a different way of looking at it. So, like, instead of, I don't know, what would be a good example? Like, well, when I first started my practice many years ago, I did integrate, and I'm happy I did this. I integrated a few different levels of packages, right? Like I would have I don't know, I think I had like a 3-pack of sessions, maybe a 6-pack and a 12, something like that, right? Um, they weren't in my early days. Like I didn't sit down and go, okay, what are my people struggling with? And what are the results they're looking for? And what can I build as the bridge to help get them there? All right. I didn't do that in the very beginning. So, what I'm suggesting is that you look at your packages or your services differently. I really highly recommend, because we are in the business of helping the client get results. I'm in the business to help my clients and students get results. So every time I sit down to create a new service, that's what I think about. Okay, I think, all right, now who am I targeting here? Like, what exactly are they struggling with, right? What are some of the nuances in their situation? And what do they want to achieve? And that's always my starting point for creating any service, any program, any course that I have. So I am suggesting that if you don't already do this, that I just think it's a great way to approach your services. And I'll tell you what that's going to do for you. It's going to give you unbridled confidence, right? Especially when you have that sales conversation, which we're going to talk about here shortly. When you're having these, discovery calls, clarity calls, whatever you want to call the session, you are going to be filled with confidence that the solution you're offering is effective because you've already thought it through, right? I'd love to hear your comments on this part. Do you tend to think of things that way? Your services as a mechanism to help them get results, right? That is what we're in the business for. So give me, if you guys want to comment on that, I'd appreciate it. I want to hear, just what your take is. If you do that, if this is kind of a new way of looking at it. All right. So let's keep going. So basically our offerings are in place to solve the client's most significant pain points and help them to move into that desired transformation. Additionally, guys, I'm not a huge fan of hours for dollars, right? Kind of just the a la carte type of session model. And frankly, even what I described when I was talking about, the program needing to solve the biggest pain points. Remember, I shared with you that when I first started my practice, I had like these different packages. They were purely based 100% on how many sessions, how many minutes, how many hours the client was buying, right? Nothing else. And So even though I was in the package model, I was still selling my hours. And I would just say that as a general rule, it's not nearly as effective as compared to like a really nice, robust, what I would call signature program. Again, this is a program, this would be like your flagship offer. And it's really designed to help bring that client from point A to point B. It's the bridge that gets them there, right? And chances are it's got just like this says next, it's got multiple features within the packager program. So we're not relying on just a singular modality for learning. We've got other elements in the package that, so when the client looks at that, they're like, oh my God, this looks so comprehensive. Like, oh, you haven't no stone left unturned here. It really makes it more irresistible to the client. And P.S., I do want to mention that in many cases, the package or the signature program, some of the other elements that you're adding in, for the most part, you're probably already doing. That's what I find all the time when I help my clients to create these programs is a lot of times they're already doing some of the things, but we just kind of take it for granted. We kind of forget to call it out, right? So anyway, all right. And then of course we've got online programs. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the options for multiple streams of income, but certainly this is one where, online programs can really look like a lot of different things. So let's just delve more into that when we get to the multiple streams of income. Obviously, supplement sales, great way, especially you all know that I'm a huge fan of full script. And, they didn't have full script when I had my practice. So I think that, integrating supplements into a client's treatment plan can really help catapult the results. And of course, the added benefit is it's a great way to truly generate passive income. And then, of course, strategic pricing, right? We do want to price strategically, and we want to do so in a way that creates a sense of urgency, right? Super important in the sales process. So let's talk a little bit now about marketing strategies. We've touched on some of these actually already. Again, reminder, I really encourage you to have some online and offline marketing strategies. Okay. Let's mix it up and not put all of our proverbial eggs in the online basket. I feel like the online strategies are great. However, sometimes they take it's just a little bit more time consuming, right? Because oftentimes you're attracting people cold traffic. What do I mean by cold traffic? People that don't know you, right? Like people you find on social media, they don't know you. So it can take an elongated period of time to convert cold traffic into paying customers. So compare that to like some of the offline strategies, relationship building, referrals, that kind of thing. Those tend to be faster, quite frankly, right? Just think about it yourself. Like if you're looking for a practitioner, let's say you've got Hashimoto's, right? And you're just sick of struggling. So you're actively, like let's just say you ask your doctor for a recommendation for a nutritionist or diet or function, something like that, a dietitian, let's say. If the doctor recommends an RD to that patient, that holds a lot of credibility, and you've got a much better chance of, like it's just a shorter period of time before that potential client takes action. In contrast, if you're attracting, people with Hashimoto's on Instagram, let's be honest, they're going to be lurkers for a while before they actually take action. So that's why I really want to encourage you to do both. right? Really have like a networking plan, you know, I mean, it's old-fashioned networking, relationship building, right? Helping one another be successful. So lots of marketing strategies. We talked a lot about, your local network. Um, we talked about social media for the most part. I think we touched on JV opportunities and referral opportunities. And again, this big step there really is just looking for other people, practitioners, companies, whatever it is, anyone that serves your target audience is potentially a good bet. You could do a lead capturing website, right? Of course, websites are super important in this day and age. And I would just say on that website, you just want to make sure your messaging is really, really clear, and you want to have your freebie front and center. Oh my gosh, I look at so many websites and this is not the case, right? I have to like search all over or scroll to the very bottom of the page to find the freebie. So you just want to make sure that you're making it really easy for you to capture the lead. You can do a video show just like I do, right? Live with Lesli every Thursday, 12:30 Central. I've been doing this for 3 years now, every Thursday, and it's a lot of fun. I hope it provides tons of value to you, my dear viewers, and I think it's become an integral part of my brand. So I love that strategy. I have an entire course on how to create your own live show, just in case you're wanting to do this yourself. Paid ads. So paid ads are an interesting thing, right? Paid ads. I do think they can work. So the way I operate in terms of, working with my private clients is there's no have tos, right? So my thought process is let's try to really leverage all the free before we move into paid ads, generally speaking, right? So I do have some of my clients utilize paid ads like periodically, specifically like Facebook ads to they'll put out Facebook ads if they're doing a webinar to get more people to sign up for a webinar, which I think is a great strategy because then, you're taking icy cold leads, people that have never seen or heard of you before. You're inviting them into perhaps a live webinar. And, I feel so strongly that talks are just a phenomenal way to build that trust, build that know, like, and trust, and move them, the people, your target audience, to becoming paying clients. So it's a really, really powerful strategy. I do have some clients who are doing Google ads and, they're seeing some degree of success there as well. But again, I would say, save your money. Like I would just say, let's integrate, make sure you've got a really good message. You're doing some of these other strategies, and then we move to paid ads, right? So it's not, in my opinion, the first thing that we're going to do. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Sales skills. So important. Oh my gosh. I could go on and on here. Sales, it is one of my favorite things to talk about. Probably because I come from, 13 years of sales and marketing in pharma, and I used to run a sales team, had, I don't know, 75 sales and marketing people reporting to me. So it's kind of in my blood. The thing I want to share with you is sales does not have to feel yucky. It shouldn't. If it does, you're doing something wrong. I promise you. And the other thing is sales is not about selling yourself. I hear that all the time. Like, oh my God, I hate sales. I hate selling myself. If you feel like you're selling yourself, you're also maybe doing something wrong in all honesty, because sales is all about the client. It's all about getting underneath what's happening for this client, what are their specific struggles and pain points, what are their dreams and aspirations, and how can your services, going back down to offerings, how can your offerings bridge that gap, right? That is what sales is about. It is not about just, offering your, trying to sell yourself or offering your, your programs without having a good understanding of that client. That's when it starts to feel yucky, right? When you're just trying to kind of push a solution onto someone without having a clear understanding of what their needs are, right? Now, back in the day, so again, kind of going back to my sales days, we had a name for this. It was called consultative sales, right? Consultative sales. Probably if you look that up, if you Google it, I mean, I know there's been tons of books written on it, but really the whole idea is, you're not pushing solutions on anyone ever, 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 but you are offering, honestly, you're offering them a way out of their current challenge and struggle. That's really what it's about. And I am not a fan of, pushy, any of those, kind of, yucky strategies. Never, ever. My approach, and this is the approach I teach my private clients, really, I'm kind of marrying my, corporate sales background with the training. I have a lot of training in coaching psychology. So I probably would venture to say that the way I teach my clients how to maneuver through a really, really successful discovery call is heavily based on psychology of change or change psychology, right? Um, and I think the feedback I get is pretty remarkable. It not only does lead to many, 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 many yeses, mostly yeses, but it also feels good, right? It feels good because you're actually offering value to that client. So it's a win-win all the way around. So basically, again, we're talking about discovery sessions, clarity calls here, whatever it is that you do to move that client. It's that first conversation that you have where you are offering your solution, right? And I do want to mention that even if you're in the insurance model, my thought process is I have a lot to say about that, actually. I could do a whole Facebook Live just on that. But essentially, one of the inherent sometimes challenges in the insurance model, unfortunately, is that, sometimes you got people, I don't want to pigeonhole and say all the time, but sometimes you got people who are going to show up because insurance is covering it. They're getting pressure from a family member, whatever the case is. Sometimes they're not as committed, right? And I have found that one way to kind of shift that is by having this conversation in the first session. Now, I understand in the insurance model, you cannot charge, for a package. I totally get that. But what you can do is you can explore their pain points. You can explore what they want instead. And then you still can offer a solution in the form of an experience rather than, oh, just, come whenever you feel like it. And you will get a more committed client who stays on track and gets better results. All right. So I could go into a lot more detail on that, but I do want to say that the sales skills and, the psychology really plays a role in regardless of if you're cash pay or insurance based. All right, guys. All right. There's also, of course, selling from the stage. And what does that mean? That is making reference to, like doing a live webinar where you have a pitch integrated into the webinar. So you're providing tons of value in the webinar, and then you're you're offering a solution, like a next step that's generally a paid next step, not always. So that is referred to as selling from the stage. Um, and yeah, the bottom line is you're offering solutions in the sales process to help your clients to overcome the obstacles and get to the other side, right? So that's really the positioning. All right, let's talk a little bit about multiple streams of income. All right, so I'm going to check the comments real quick, see if we've got, let's see. All right, so let me just share a couple of comments. Again, sorry I can't see who you are. Facebook is hiding your identity. Messaging always used to trip me up, and I feel like I got a lot better at it after talking to you. Great. I'm so glad about that. I wish I knew who you were, but yeah, messaging, gosh, guys, if you take away one thing from today, it's know how critical the message is. Understand, because people do not want to buy your time. Do you really think they want to, like, are they super excited? Yay, I'm going to go see a dietitian. Yay. They're not. They go to you, and really this is all health professionals, because they want those results. They want to get out of pain and they want those results. So that's really the crux of the message. Okay. Let's see. Most of my clients come to me wanting to solve a specific problem. So I definitely think it's important to have a customized care and to be able to deliver results. Absolutely. And do note that, I talk a lot about creating a signature program. The key that I just want to drive home the point that personalization is absolutely an integral piece of your signature program. You just have a framework in place, right? I would just look at it like a framework that is probably going to work for, again, 80-20, 80% of your people. And hey, if you get outliers on each end of that spectrum, then you deal with those outliers as they come up. But it is still very, very personalized. All right, let's talk a little bit about my other favorite topic, multiple streams of income. All right, love this topic so very much. And many of you know that I do a lot of teaching on this particular topic. And specifically, I utilize what I have called the profit pyramid as a model to better illustrate all the opportunities that you have to generate multiple streams of income in your practice. Also, just FYI, I do have a complimentary 4-day live event coming up, and I'm really, really excited about it. We're going to roll up our sleeves and figure out your plan to generate multiple streams of income. We're going to get out the calculator and really get down to the nitty-gritty, including the numbers, to ensure that you have a plan to create the kind of income in life that you desire. So, really, to sign up for that, the first step would be to grab the PDF, the link that you see on your screen. All right. Once you sign up and grab the 6-figure business building blocks PDF, you'll automatically be invited into the 4-day live event coming up. All right. All right. MSI, multiple streams of income. All right. So basically, what I have listed here in the bullet points are the different levels within that profit pyramid. Okay, so remember the profit pyramid. The top is your highest level. It really represents the highest touch service in your practice. Therefore, it's the highest price. Typically, it's one-on-one. I would, kind of refer to it as your one-on-one, kind of your VIP level services, right? So this is your highest ticket service in your practice. All right. Generally, we start here. Generally speaking, in a new business, we start by getting traction with some one-on-ones. This allows you to, start to make significant inroads in terms of meeting your income needs. And in the background, while we are, enrolling clients into the one-on-one program, we are also focused on building your email list, your audience, and getting you set up to be able to offer some of these other options, these more scalable revenue producing services. All right. Including your, like your mid-level group programs. You might have teleclasses and webinar series, maybe not so much teleclasses anymore, but certainly webinar series. Live events and workshops are another great option. And then you've got home study products and add-on sales. And I would also add to this the opportunity for what I would call external product sales, right? The best example I can think of would be supplement sales, where, like, again, like with Full Script, right? So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. So that gives you kind of an overview of the different revenue streams that you can begin to, to plan in your business. Then let's look at automation. So automation is really important as well, especially as your business becomes busier and busier. So, we want things kind of working in the background in your business so that you don't have to attend to every single detail. So automation would include things such as autoresponders. So for example, let's say that I went to your website and I saw a DIY course that I bought, right? So instead of you having to, be on top of it, you just want to make sure that you've got what's called an autoresponder ready to go, ready to fire up and be sent to me to confirm my purchase and to confirm how do I access the materials, right? So it might be like, yay, welcome. So happy to have you on board. Here's what you can expect, right? Just like a little email giving me the lay of the land. And also, how do I access the material? You can also have, you can have autoresponders for your new subscribers, right? So let's say you've got a really juicy ebook that you're using as a way to generate. Oh gosh, you know what, guys? I'm going to have to wrap up. I am talking my head off and realized it's time for me to wrap up. So anyway, I hope you learned a ton, and I will talk to you next week. I gotta grab my client right now. Have a great rest of your day, guys.